Well, I'm sitting in the Melbourne sunshine on the south bank of the River. The River Yarra is very close by. The Botanic Gardens are just over my shoulder. And if you turn to the left, you can catch a tram down to the beach, because this is the kind of thing that people have had to do to fill in time when they should have been sitting at the MCG. With me are the BBC Sports chief cricket reporter Stefan Schemmelt and Test Match Specials Henry Moran. So what have you guys been up to, Steph?
Have you got a name, Ellie, for the period between Christmas and New Year? You know that period at home when you're not entirely sure what to do?
Yeah, Twixtmas is
that what you call it? That's what we're in now, isn't it? We're in a period where we should be watching a test match, but we're not. So no one's quite sure what to do with themselves. So you know that time in between Christmas, Twixtmas, when you're not sure what to do, you eat turkey, you still watch films, you lounge around on the sofa, generally being a sloth. Well, that's what we're doing.
Yep, yeah. Well, I went to the Botanic Gardens for a lovely walk yesterday. Lots of England fans were walking around there. Henry, what were you up to?
I think by Twixtmas, that might have been a suggestion of what was being pulled out of the chocolate tin at that point. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? And the fact that we were sent a note from our friends at Cricket Australia with a list of things to do in Melbourne over the course of these few days. Yeah, it's extraordinary, isn't it? And yeah, there's a lot of England fans still in their Barmy Army shirts, wandering about, still with smiles on faces because England have won the game, but there is a little bit of a sense of, we didn't quite anticipate it was going to be like this.
No, and it's it's easy to look at all the caveats around why the game was lost and won in 2 days, and criticism of the pitch, and we'll talk, I'm sure, about that. But actually, an England win after 15 years, Stefan, is worth marking, is worth celebrating.
Well, it is. Because did anyone expect England to get a win on this tour?
I did.
Did you? After they went 3-0 down, what do you reckon?
Maybe not so much then.
No, and you think of everything that England have been through in those 15 years. Whitewashes, teams falling apart, Mitchell Johnson, COVID tours, Noosa, all those things to get to the point of finally winning a game in Australia. And I'm sure we'll have a discussion on, and many people have, about, the merits of a 2-day victory and how much it means to win a dead rubber. You'd have to be pretty hard-hearted not to have felt something when you saw Ben Stokes and Joe Root going over to applaud the Barmy Army on that second day, and when they had a hug between them. And I've heard both of them say since the end of that game the word finally. Finally we've won a game. And it was looking like two genuine all-time greats of England cricket were going to go through their careers without winning a test match in Australia, let alone an Ashes series in Australia. And I think it's pretty good money that we won't see Ben Stokes here in 4 years' time. It's 50-50, I'd say, whether Joe Root will be back. He'll be nearly 39 by then. And so, yeah, for those two guys not to have at least a test win on their careers in Australia would have felt like a really weird anomaly. So, yeah, more than that. More for anything for those two guys to get that win. And then also now we look ahead to Sydney going, well, is there a way that this regime stays in place if England win in Sydney and things go well in the T20 World Cup? You can almost see a sort of needle threading situation where that happens, whereas a few days ago I think we were all thinking, well, everyone's out on their ear now. I'm not saying they are going to stay, even if they do win in Sydney, but maybe there's a situation where this regime stays intact.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose there is a difference, isn't there, between feeling that sense of relief and that sense that, going all the way back to Andrew Strauss as captain in 2011, Ben Stokes has now won a single test match down under. That's all it is. So that relief, but then also not papering over the cracks, not addressing the issues that are there within this England team.
And they still exist, and they will continue to exist until some changes, reviews inevitably take place. But I think what is worth remembering in all of this is the scene of those thousands and thousands of England supporters in the sunshine, roaring England home, and England players able to take a deep breath and say, phew, we've done it. And we've got those moments, we've got those memories. It has not gone the way we wanted it to, this tour, but at least we have that. And it was rather summed up for me when we got quite late on. Eventually, after all of the chaos, you sort of take a deep breath. I think none of us were going to go to bed early. You and I popped out to a local micro-brewery, Ellie, with Alex Hartley, and there were two England fans who had a bucket with some very expensive champagne in it, and they just said, well, at last, and we're treating ourselves because we never thought that we'd see this, and it's sometimes worth remembering that in amongst all of the conversations about the mistakes and the selection and the trips to Noosa, you can sometimes think, well, England have won a game in Australia and that's to be applauded and enjoyed.
I don't know if I know the answer to this, but I'm just going to throw it out there as a discussion point. Is the fact England have won one, does that make it more annoying? What's
Yes.
gone on
Yeah.
over the previous...
For England fans, yes.
Yeah, do you think it does?
Yes.
Go on.
Because they came into every single game saying, I fancy us this week because we got so close last. If only this, if only this, if only this. And I think Ben Stokes, while he'll endlessly say in interviews, oh, well, we're looking at the next game and what we can do to improve, he will, in the dead of night, be thinking about that moment on day 2 at Perth, when he'll be thinking about Jamie Smith getting out at Adelaide. He'll be thinking about the mistakes that were made in Brisbane, of which there were plenty. And he'll be thinking about the fact that the bowlers didn't pitch it up in the way that they should have done until they got to this match in Melbourne. There is no question Australia were potentially there for the taking. He will know that, and he will deep down, whatever is said, be very aware that this was a massive opportunity.
Well, we move on to Sydney in a couple of days' time, get there in time for New Year's Eve, which should be lively, I'm guessing. But with that test match starting on the 4th of Jan over here, 3rd of January back at home. Steph, a little bit of England team news.
Yeah, Gus Atkinson is out of that test match. We I think we all knew, didn't we, when he walked off on the second morning at the MCG holding his left hamstring, that would probably be the last time we see him in the series. And at the time, actually, I was starting to think, God, this has got all the classics of an England wheels-off day. Actually, it started with an injury, then we had a drop catch when Will Jacks put down Travis Head. Obviously, it turned out differently to that. But yeah, left hamstring injury. We don't know how long he's out for. We don't know when he's actually going home, but we will find out more about the extent of that injury when he does get home. Atkinson had 2 months out earlier on this year. If you remember, he injured his right hamstring when England played that one-off test match against Zimbabwe in May. You would expect that means a call up for Matthew Potts, who has carried a lot of drinks around this tour, and he will be thinking, well, wow, what an opportunity to finally get. He hasn't played a test match for England since Hamilton against New Zealand at the back end of last year. He's played 10 test matches, Matthew Potts. His last 7 have been against 6 different opponents. This would make it 8 test matches with 7 different opponents. And that tells you a little bit about how staccato his career has been. Made his debut in the first Stokes-McCullum test match against New Zealand at Lord's in 2022, played 4 consecutive games then, all 3 against New Zealand and 1 against India. But since then just hasn't had a run in the team. Arguably wouldn't have even been in this squad had Chris Woakes been fit or Jamie Overton not made himself unavailable for Red Bull cricket, but finally gets his chance. And I think actually a lot have been asking or crying out for Matthew Potts to play as a man who could hit the top of off stump. A bowler who pounds away and might be suited to these Australian conditions. So yeah, look, Matthew Fisher is also in the squad, but he was a late call-up. England are often very hierarchical in the way that they go about their selections. So you'd think that Matthew Potts is in line to finally get a game in Sydney.
Well, despite the lack of cricket, there was actually quite a lot going on down at the MCG and in the fan park, including Australian great Brett Lee being inducted into the Australian Cricket Hall of Fame. And he's been talking a bit about fast bowlers and injuries. I mean, you look at the England squad, Archer, Wood, now Atkinson, all part of the squad, playing part in this series, now out. Cummins won't play anymore for Australia in this series. Hazelwood didn't start the series. But Brett Lee has been suggesting that injuries, certainly from an England point of view, could be down yet again to a lack of preparation.
You can bowl as quick as you want, but if you don't bowl the right line or length, you're going to get punished in Australia. And I think we've seen that. I also think that, there's been a lot of injuries on the England side that you could put down to a number of reasons. Workload or probably lack of workload coming into a test series. I would have loved to see England's fast bowlers get a few more games underneath their belt, because the other thing too, when you go from, you can bowl the nets here as much as you want, but when you get out to a situation when you're under pressure and you got to bowl consistently, and England bowlers, they didn't get much of a rest either. They had 40 odd overs from the batting point of view, and they're back out of the sheds bowling again. So yeah, I wasn't surprised to see a couple of the bowlers go down just through probably lack of workload. So maybe next time they come out, they'll look to think maybe get it a little bit earlier, get a bit more Ks underneath their belt, a bit more work in the legs.
Well, that was Brett Lee. We've been talking about fast bowling. Stefan, we haven't talked much about spin bowling, have we? It's hardly played a part in this series at all. So Shoaib Bashir, would you thought we'll go through this series without a game?
Yeah, don't take this as a knock on your bowling, Ellie, but I reckon you might have more chance of playing in Sydney than Shoaib Bashir for a few reasons. I think Shoaib Bashir's bowling is not and would want it.
And Ellie's leg spin is lethal.
His bowling's not in the place where England will want it to be. They've found a formation that's just won them a test match with Will Jacks batting at 8. Admittedly, he didn't bowl a ball in the test, and he only batted once. He only batted once. Braden Carse is England's new number 3, of course. I mean, I suppose from a spin point of view, the interesting one might be Todd Murphy. I would expect that he will get a game in Sydney. Just on Brett Lee's point about preparation for fast bowlers, Brett Lee knows more about fast bowling than I do, by the way. He bowls faster than I do, just marginally. It's interesting, isn't it, so Pat Cummins can come in without bowling the ball since July, looks magnificent. Some bowlers, they struggle without preparation. Chris Woakes was a bowler who always said that he needed loads of overs to feel fresh. Mark Wood was another who said he feels best when he hasn't bowled the ball. So again, I'm not going back down this rabbit hole of preparation, but I do want to keep, I think, labouring that point of it is different for everyone. There's not a one-size-fits-all answer in all of this.
And the fact that you mentioned Gus Atkinson's hamstring injuries, certain bowlers, and the way that, part of the joy of fast bowling is the different way that bowlers bowl. Different bowlers are susceptible to different injuries, and it's been the way of it for all of time. Chris Woakes' ankles have been a problem. We know that Jofra Archer's elbow's been a problem. So, it's one of those where there's no one size fits all in terms of return dates and how bowlers get fit again.
Well, I was watching all the various video clips that have come out of this last Test match, and there was an interesting one of some Australian fans just having a little bit of a go at Ben Duckett, suggesting to him that he might fancy a beer, and him then signalling to them and saying, yes, bring it on, and making the universal sign of, I'm going to have a little drink at this point. So England have been understandably celebrating. They've had their families over here as well. They've been able to relax and enjoy that feeling of actually having won a match. As far as Australia, though, slightly different, Henry.
Yeah, yesterday morning I was down at the MCG, the nominal day 3, ready to hear from the curator who was put up to speak to the media. Said he was in a state of shock about the pitch, but also by 9 a.m. the entire Australian squad were there as well. The fan park was absolutely heaving with spectators, and I thought actually it was a really impressive show of fan engagement, taking the time to reach out to spectators, England and Australia, that would have been really disappointed not to have got the chance to have seen a third day. Lots of those fans we spoke to, I know you spoke to on 5 Live Breakfast, about having made the journey with day 3 being the first one they were going to watch. And yeah, it's one of those things where you think there's a PR opportunity, and Cricket Australia have absolutely nailed it, because in the sunshine, up close and personal with Mitchell Starc, and Pat Cummins was there, even the only person missing with Nathan Lyon. He's got a 16 centimetre tear in his hamstring, so perhaps not surprising that, but it's one of those things where there was all sorts of rumours about could they stage another match, to fill the time. That was never going to happen, but the fact that fans were out there and got the chance to meet the players was a really good thing, I thought.
Could England have turned up as well, do you think, Steph?
There's a hospital pass, honestly.
Could England have turned up to greet fans outside the MCG on day 3 of the Test match? Do I want to play a shot at this? No, I don't think they could. To be honest, Australia have trained today as well. Actually, on day 4, they've had optional training. And Andrew McDonald, actually, he held a press conference, head coach, and he explained that optional training means the fast bowlers aren't there. It doesn't necessarily mean that you can or you can't turn up if you don't want to. Optional training means the full fast bowlers aren't there. But I also know that Travis Head wasn't there either, because I've just seen him strolling through a food court. I did see Marnus Labuschagne facing some deliveries from Todd Murphy, so that maybe tells you about 2 players who might be thinking about what they need to do in Sydney. I've got no problem with what England have done over the past couple of days. Their families are here. It's Christmas. They've been some of those players have been away since the end of October, roughly. No, I don't think they needed to be there at all. And actually, it's quite funny about there's been certain discussions about whether or not there could have been a beer match on day 3 at the MCG. There was a tour in South Africa in the mid-90s, I can't remember if it was 94, 95 or 95, 96, when England lost in 3 days in Cape Town, and the coach Ray Illingworth agreed to play a game on the 4th or 5th day that the players knew nothing about. It was announced at the post-match presentation that they ended up playing, I think, Western Province in a one-day where about 5,000 people turned up. But for any of those discussions that might have taken place on day 2 about whether or not a game should have taken place at the MCG, I do know they never reached England. There was never a question that was put to them, so it was never really, it was a non-starter.
Well, as we mentioned, all the Australian squad were there, with a couple of exceptions yesterday, including the Australian captain, stand-in captain, Steve Smith, who spoke to Henry.
Well, Steve, we're meant to be playing cricket today. What did you make of it all?
Yeah, we are. It's a shame. It's a beautiful day. So, obviously a tricky wicket for batting, 36 wickets over just inside 2 days. So, unfortunate to be on the wrong side of it as well. But, don't really know what else to make of it. It was tricky, and England obviously played really well yesterday. I thought they bowled nicely and came out with really good intent with the bat and got ahead of the game, I suppose, with that early partnership. So credit to them for the way they went about it.
Tricky? Too tricky?
Oh, I mean, any game that's over in 2 days and 36 wickets, no one gets 50 for the game. I don't think that's happened since like 1920 or something. So I'd say it's probably a little bit too much in the favour of the bowlers. But you still got to play what's in front of you, try and adapt, and England did that better than us.
How frustrating is it, given the talk of 5-0 and how dominant Australia had been in this series?
We always want to win, of course, but like I said, England played really well. I thought we probably controlled the first day and they controlled the second day and got the game there. But if we get 50 or 60 more, maybe it was a different game across both innings. So look, it was tough wicket, but all you can do is play what's in front of you.
Bazball as a concept has had a bit of a hammering over the last few weeks. Have you guys been talking about how England have approached things and maybe a bit of extra determination, maybe to show them that their way isn't necessarily the best way?
I think it's got its moments where it can work. I think probably yesterday the way they went about it early on with the bat was obviously beneficial for them on that wicket. It was it was one of those ones where your name was on it, and when you're chasing a reasonably small target, if you can break the back of it early, you get in front of the game, and they did that really well yesterday and probably softened our ball quite a bit. I think when Zach was hitting him into the billboards, it was softening that ball and probably didn't offer quite as much for us. So credit to them the way they went about it.
Have you enjoyed this series? Because it's been an unconventional test series, 2 matches that have finished in 2 days, and I know you're somebody that likes to bat long.
We've had a few tricky wickets for batting, there's no doubt about it, and unfortunately I missed the flat one in Adelaide, but we'll see what we get next week in Sydney. Hopefully a little bit flatter and chance to bat a bit more time, but we'll wait and see.
And just finally, England fans have seen a lot of you play in Australia and England. They love watching you and they hate watching you. How much more do you reckon we'll expect to see? Is this your final Ashes in Australia, do you think?
In Australia? Oh, probably. I'm not sure I'm going to be around in 4 years. Whether I go to England or not, I'm not sure. We'll wait and see. Still got to keep performing, but we'll wait and see what happens.
Well, that was Steve Smith speaking to Henry. I think all of us are kind of starting to throw ahead already to the next Ashes in England in 18 months' time, and then beyond that in 4 years' time back down in Australia. And interesting to hear Steve Smith hinting to you, Henry, that it could be his final Ashes series in Australia.
Yeah, I think probably more than hinting at the way he was talking about it. And chatting to our friends at the ABC, and they said, we actually hadn't heard him say that. So maybe we hadn't even countenanced the prospect that this absolute sort of bastion of Australian cricket for the last decade would potentially be playing his last Ashes test in Australia next week. I think the other name is Usman Khawaja. And Steph, I know that Australia's team news, you plenty to dissect and discuss.
Yeah, well, on Steve Smith, it might be his last Ashes test, full stop. He's not committed to touring England in 18 months' time. And that is pretty close, to be fair. When we heard Andrew McDonald speak earlier on, he said that their preparation coming up again. He said that they tend to prepare for a tour about 12 months out. They will turn their attention to that in about 6 months' time. And that 2027 year for Australia is big. There is a World Test Championship final in England. They've got the Ashes in England, trying to win the Ashes in England for the first time since 2001. So that'll be 26 years by the time they get there. And then they defend the World Cup in South Africa. I think starting this August, or certainly the UK autumn, I think Australia have got 16 test matches in the space of a year. So big old time coming up for them. Steve Smith has previously said he doesn't know if he's going to be on that Ashes tour in 2027. So it could be his last Ashes test match full stop, and could be last test match of a career for Usman Khawaja. I cannot believe that we've got through an entire series basically speculating about the future of Usman Khawaja before every game that we've played. He was on the agenda in Perth, didn't play in Brisbane, got a late call up in Adelaide, managed to retain his place in Melbourne, and here we are now wondering whether or not this is going to be the end of his career in his home, or what was his home city, for a very long period of time. McDonald wasn't drawn on that. He said, look, we haven't really had a conversation about it, but whether or not, I don't know. Remember the last time when David Warner had his big farewell tour that culminated at the SCG, and McDonald said we've sort of learned from that sort of protracted farewell all around Australia. So I don't know if Australia are going to get quite into that, but we'll wait and see. That'll be something that dominates the conversation from an Australia point of view in the run-up to next weekend.
I think looking ahead as well from an England point of view, a lot of the younger players on this tour, you know, Jamie Smith, Harry Brook, even the players that haven't played down under before, Jacob Bethel, obviously they'll have learnt so much from this victory, won't they? And they will have that muscle memory going forward to future Ashes test matches, that they know what it feels like to beat Australia.
I'll go back to when I was driving from Noosa to Brisbane Airport to fly to Adelaide. I was listening to the ABC. Cooper Connolly was talking on the ABC, having just played for Australia A against the England Lions. And Australia A hammered the England Lions out of sight. One thing Cooper Connolly said was, the coach Tim Payne said to us, this is the 6th test of the Ashes, and you guys go out and make sure those young England players, Asa Tribe, James Rue, Bethel was playing at the time, do not have good memories of playing in Australia. If they're going to tour here in 4 years' time, don't let them know that they've got a victory over you. Let them know that playing here is hard. Send them home with this defeat ringing in their ears. Flip side of that now, Josh Tongue, Jamie Smith, they've all got the experience of winning a test match in Australia. Jacob Bethel is one Ashes win from one. I think Ollie Pope tried 8 times, didn't get a win. Now Jacob Bethel's 1 from 1. So look, Michael Vaughan's gone on record in the past to say that the end of the 0-2-0-3 series, when England won in Sydney to avoid a 5-0 clean sweep, that set him on the path for victory in 2005. Now I'm not going to make any sort of statements that, you know, these players that have got a win in Melbourne might now be on the path to winning in 18 months' time, or even back here in 4 years. But it does no harm, does it?
So, 2-day test matches. I know, Steph, you've written down your thoughts on the BBC Sport websites, and there are a few comments below the line, needless to say. But 2-day test matches, Henry, are we a fan or are we not a fan?
Oh, it's a very interesting question, this, because would you rather a 2-day test match where loads happens, or the Alistair Cook double 100 test in 2017?
Well, he said it's all his fault, actually,
Well,
that they prepared the pitch so you didn't get an Alistair Cook ball fest or similar.
He also says, when anybody says, oh, you scored 200 on the flattest pitch imaginable, he said, yeah, but I did score those runs and you didn't. And so, yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? And I think, ideally, as the curator said to us yesterday morning, ideally you want a game to go 3 or 4, ideally 4 or 5 days, and you want that narrative to build. But Test cricket is a varied and fascinating thing, endlessly fascinating. You just don't want repetition, and you don't want to turn up knowing what's going to happen. And in the same way as you didn't want in the 1960s to know every single game was probably going to be a draw, you don't want to reach the stage in the 2020s and 2030s where you're thinking, well, day 3 is not worth buying a ticket for. So variety is, Ellie, the spice of life. It's like a box of Christmas chocolates, dare I say it.
Well, while we only had 2 days of the Melbourne Test, there was a special moment each afternoon at 3:50 when the 90,000+ crowd joined in to tip their hats in memory of Australia cap number 350, the legendary Shane Warne. The record-breaking leg spinner sadly passed away in 2022 at the age of only 52. In his name, the Shane Warne Legacy has been founded to honour his life with free cardio health checks being provided at the MCG, and there's also now a permanent Shane Warne exhibition in the museum at the ground. Well, Jonathan Agnew has been speaking to two of Shane's children, Brooke and Jackson.
Always coming to the MCG, it's always really special. Obviously Christmas isn't the same anymore without Dad, but always being able to come here the day after, and the day after that is always full of smiles, it's full of happiness. We have so many memories here at the MCG, and Dad has so many iconic moments here. Obviously he's got the 700th, he's got the hat-trick,
Yes.
He's got the calming down the crowd, he's now got the Shane Warne stand, he's got his statue, he's got the exhibition downstairs, and now he's got the activation with all the health checks. So, I mean, always coming here feels like our second home. And I know there's so many people in the public that still want to remember Dad as well. And me and my sister Brooke have been sitting with the Barmy Army yesterday and today. And they've been awesome. I've met so many people and they've all got their own unique Shane Warne stories. So it's so nice to know that there's so many people out there that still miss and want to remember Dad.
Yeah. And they're English people too, Brooke. 'Cause, I mean, he's an Australian cricketer, for goodness sake. He used to beat us for fun. And yet I can tell you, I mean, for my dinnies with Shane and in theatres and so on, when we play films of his and show his picture, there's an extraordinary affection for your dad from English cricket lovers.
There is, and it's so special. And as you're saying that now, they're just actually doing a little tribute to Dad on the screen, which is some beautiful pictures.
Oh, yeah.
Which is awesome. It's just, as we're talking about him, there he is on the screen. So it's incredible listening to the Barmy Army sing their beautiful song yesterday. It's so positive. So Dad would have been really happy to hear that.
Was it beautiful or was it kind of...
It was kind of great. Beautiful, probably the wrong word.
The statue, I mean, even that, the statue outside, all these memories of him. Do you come down when there isn't a match on? I mean, do you feel that kind of he's sort of here, if you like, or not? I mean, is that just kind of put away and you only come down for matches?
No, well, we come here to watch the footy as well, the AFL, and it's pretty cool cheering on our team and looking at Dad's stand and always walking past to come in and seeing his statue out the front. Now the exhibition's here as well. It's just so special. So we don't get down here too much, but we do with the footy and all of that.
Yeah.
And even when there is an AFL or cricket on, like even if it's just a random Tuesday afternoon, I'll still get people sending me selfies and they've just gotten a tour of the MCG with the Shane Warne stand in the back, or they've seen Dad's hologram downstairs.
Yeah.
Or even what I find the funniest is when people, late at night or early in the morning, they're putting up, a VB or a pizza just on his statue and they're sending me a selfie and going, I heard your dad was hungry, here's a piece of margarita. And it's just like that stuff is what makes us smile because, it's, that's what Dad would have wanted as well.
Was he really like that at home? I mean, but all these stories about Shane and his pizzas and his VBs or whatever. I mean, was life at home really like that?
Yeah, it was. Exactly.
Christmas Day, pizza?
Christmas
Day
well,
lasagna,
yeah,
garlic bread rolls.
Yeah, all that sort of stuff. And I think that's why so many people, especially since he's passed, which I'm just glad with, are seeing who he actually was. And even though media sometimes portrayed him in that he wasn't the same version as what we knew, but especially after the State Memorial, a lot more people got to see Dad. Yeah. And what I mean Dad is they saw the food he liked to eat. He just loved hanging out with his mates, how much he wanted to help people, how much he was always giving back, how could he, make people smile. That's what Dad was known for. And I'm so glad lots more people, especially in the public eye, when they're talking about Dad, have all got those same things in common.
Yeah, because it must have been hard for him. I mean, he really in the media spotlight, wasn't he? I mean, okay, I'm on that media side. So you knew, especially the Australian media. I mean, he was right in it, wasn't he? And that can't have been easy for you as a family.
Yeah, and to be honest, not to try and, pump him up or anything, but I don't think there's actually been an Australian sportsman, maybe apart from Don Bradman 100 years ago, but genuinely in my lifetime I've ever seen that was under the public eye for every single thing he did, and that was for 30 years in a row. Like me and Brooke, not to try and sound negative or complain, but we had paparazzi outside of our house waiting to drop us off from school. And that wasn't just in Australia, but that was in England as well. Even in places like America and Spain where they don't even play cricket, but they're still following Dad.
See, why is that?
Because I think Dad, he's a rock star. I like to think as well, because everything he did was just so fantastic, and he was such an amazing person, and the people he got to meet throughout his life, not the regular sort of some sportsman does. And I just think that's, they criticised him so much, but he was always so tough, and he always came out on the other end so much stronger. And yeah.
Did you talk cricket much with him?
No, to be honest, the only times me and Dad would ever talk cricket would be when I come home late at night and he'd be in bed watching the cricket at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. It'd be
From
India
India or
versus Sri
something.
Lanka. Yeah, it'd be just two random countries, and I'd be like, what's going on? And he was such a good reader of any sport. Like, I actually used to
Yeah.
love watching him play golf and watch golf because he would just have such a good sporting mind. He could read the players so well. But
Such good knowledge.
yeah, it's just such good knowledge, such good game awareness. He just was such a good read of players. But yeah, that's the stuff I probably miss the most.
And the obvious question is, have you tried to play cricket? I mean, how can you actually play cricket in Australia with a surname like Warne?
Yeah, no, I think I probably played 10 games in my entire life.
But what did you do a couple of days ago?
Yeah, well, when I was about 15 years old, in my second game, I actually took a hat trick.
Did you?
I said I was bowling leg spin, but it was more like moon bowls. But a few,
go on then.
yeah,
That's pretty good.
It was pretty good. But a few days ago, I actually hosted a game, Australia versus England. On the England side, it was members of the Barmy Army, and on the Australian side, it was Dad's friends that had played either AFL and cricket. And we played down at East Sandringham, which was his junior cricket club, which has now been renamed the Shane Warne Oval. We got an unbelievable turnout, and the community was so happy. The club was so happy, and to just see how many people so close to Christmas got together was amazing.
Yeah. So,
You did awesome, Jacko. You did great.
Right, a hat trick. Come on, talk me. How were they coming? How'd you get them out?
Well, I said I was bowling leg spin,
Yeah.
and it was actually moon balls, which is just the slowest ball of all time. But I think when the batsman figured out who I was, they would either try and just hit it for six and miss, then get stumped, or they'd hit it straight up and get caught. So that's my only trophy I ever got from school.
But he never tried to teach you. I mean, because
never.
that was the hardest job. What he did, I think why he also had so much admiration, clearly, was because he has to be the nearest to perfecting the toughest, the most difficult thing in cricket to do.
Yeah, no, somebody that put a cricket ball in my hand or said, yep, Jackson, it's 5:30, let's go down to the nets. He was never, ever like that. He just wanted me to be happy. And if me being happy was building Lego or playing AFL or playing tennis or swimming, like, it doesn't matter what it was, just him seeing a smile on my face was his number one priority.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, growing up, cricket was never something that I felt pressure from. It was more the negative self-talk, which was in my head, which probably wasn't even real. And that was just being at school, picking up a cricket ball with me, thinking, oh, what are they going to think? Do they want me to do this or want me to do that? And it probably was never even true. So I probably talked myself out of playing cricket, but you know, I'm in a very good spot. I love talking about Dad in places like this and on days like this. So, yeah.
I think you probably all remember where we were when it happened, because it was actually the day after Rod Marsh, and that was a day that hit cricket hard. And then comes news of your dad. That must have been just an appalling day for all of you. Were you all together with the family?
Yeah, we were all together, and to be honest, it still doesn't even really feel real. Like, if you had told me he's about to walk through the comm box, I'd believe you. It still doesn't feel real that it's been nearly 4 years, and it still doesn't feel real that, 2 hours ago I was in Dad's exhibition talking to people about his memorabilia. So I think we still all feel him so much, and every single day that, maybe in 5 years it'll hit me, or in 2 years, or in 2 days, I don't know. But for how I'm feeling now is happy. I love talking about Dad. I love talking about everything he did. So, yeah,
very proud. So the memorabilia, what's he got in there, Brooke? What's
There's so many iconic moments in there. You've got the 700th wicket.
Was he a hoarder? Did he collect lots of
He
things?
kept everything,
yes,
I get that from him as well. He kept so much stuff, but there's amazing. There's the 600th ball, there's the 700th ball, the last Test ball, the Gatting ball, the Gatting shoe, the Gatting stump.
The Gatting shoe? What's the Gatting?
Oh, well, Dad's bowling shoe. So the shoes that he was wearing.
Really?
Yeah.
He kept it,
so I
right,
refer it to as the Gatting shoe.
Yeah, he kept everything. Like when I mean everything, everything.
Yeah.
Does that surprise you or not?
Well, I don't know. Maybe he had a vision that one day he had an idea of building his own museum, or I don't know. I never got to talk to him about it, but I do know what he would have wanted to do with this memorabilia is share it with the world, make sure everybody forever can see it, and for us to fast forward 3.5 years after he's passed, for it to end up in the MCG, which Dad used to call his backyard or his office, is a bit of a pinch me moment, fairy tale moment, but it just adds another... it just adds another layer to his legacy.
There must have been so much more to him because, as an outsider, I work with him a bit, but, he just seems like a guy who was rocked up, very easygoing, blah. I wouldn't necessarily have him as being, keeping stuff and being...
He was very organised, and not necessarily keeping it to have it on display. Just sort of, he'd come back and say, oh, this is this and this is that, and it would all be in plastic tubs. And, at the time, it probably, for example, the Gatting ball, wasn't probably known as the ball of the century.
No.
So he just sort of had this ball, and then all of a sudden, after all the years, it's sort of, had this. Well, what happened was incredible. So, at the time when Dad's done all these iconic to keep it is awesome. So, always thinking he was.
Yeah, yeah. How often do you watch the Gatting ball?
Oh, I've seen it so many times.
So many times.
Oh, I at least watch it a few times a day. It just pops up on social media. I don't have it in my phone and wake up and go, all right, it's 7 o'clock, I must watch it.
Yeah.
But I just somehow see it in an edit, in a replay, but I always see it the most, especially during this Boxing Day test and during the Ashes, because it is one of those iconic moments that you just, you couldn't make up.
I just think that was the most iconic. I mean, without thinking too much about it, but it was the first ball he bowled. It was a loosener.
Yep, ever. And
what
it was
did the fizz.
And it was only because I spoke to Mike Gatting earlier. He said I think there was 1 or 2 overs left before lunch. So all he said he wanted to do is perfect. I just have to stay in. This is great for me because I'll see how he bounces, what his variations are, the speed, the revs, all that. This is great for me. Just don't get out. And then first ball, bang.
That was if ever anybody announced themselves, that was it. So what about the fitness stuff here then? The cardio health. I think 1 or 2 of our members of our colleagues have gone and done that. What's the idea behind that?
Yeah, so the idea behind it is we just wanted to make sure we could try and create as much awareness for heart health as possible.
Right, because basically this is what your dad did him.
And what these stations check for, it's just your BMI, your diabetes risk, and it's just a basic health screening. So if something does flag in the red, the nurses on standby have the power to take you to doctors and hospitals and get further testing. But if we can just encourage as many people to look after their heart as possible, I think that's a bonus, because so many people after Dad passed, when he got their hearts checked and blood tests and all that sort of stuff, and when asked why are you doing this, they all said, well, it's because Shane Warne passed away. So we knew we were onto something there, and we can't take credit for it. It was Dad's team that came up with the idea. But yeah, to achieve the 400,000 total checks in just 2 years is, it's unheard of.
That is extraordinary. And it is literally a machine, isn't it? I haven't dared go on.
It's a machine, and it's done in under 5 minutes. It's free. It's non-invasive. You can keep your clothes on, don't need any of your blood, and you get your results pretty much instantly.
Yeah. And what would he think of this, do you think? I mean, again, he struck me as being someone who had his burgers and his
well,
that sort of lifestyle.
It's pretty crazy to think that because of Dad's passing, now all of these people have been saved, and it's just it's a crazy thing to think, and it's just amazing that he's, I think people were calling it the halo effect. Right. And, the fact that Dad is helping people and potentially even saving their lives is pretty amazing.
Yeah. Well, look, it's brilliant to meet you two. It really is. It's you've obviously had a really tough time. I remember watching the service and everything else going on here. Do you have memories of that still? How old were you then?
Yeah, that was 3 years ago now. Yeah. I was 22. Brooke was 24.
Or 24,
And Summer was 20. But I mean, coming out here and with all of these iconic moments, which is the, hat-trick, 700th wicket, Shane Warne stand, Shane Warne statue, and there's so many others calming down the crowd. But then to also add another layer to his legacy, which was the State Memorial, was, I think, the perfect send-off, because it wasn't too big, it wasn't too small. Everybody that spoke there spoke so positively of Dad. They all had the same things in common, how much Dad wanted to help them and all of that. So it was just nice to hear from all different people from all different walks of life how much Dad had helped them and how much they loved Dad.
Yeah.
And how much he's going to be missed.
Did it surprise you?
It didn't surprise us, because Dad always spoke about the types of friends he had and how much they helped him and he loved them. But he was always a very humble guy, and I know when I was watching it, I was just really happy to see Hugh Jackman on the screen, because he's one of my favourites. So when I saw Hugh Jackman speak about that, I was like, oh, how good's that?
That's awesome.
Right, well, good luck with it all. It's been
Thank
really
you.
lovely to have met you. Thank you for coming in. I didn't know you were coming, Brooke, so there you go. It's been a really pleasant surprise.
You just popped in. Hello.
Yeah, but so
thank you for having us both.
I did commentate on the ball of the century, but I never saw it because I was at the wrong end.
Yes.
So I'm trying to do radio. If you ever hear the radio commentary, I didn't quite, because I couldn't see the ball.
Yeah, or lucky we can go back and watch it and listen to it.
Well,
yes.
There you go.
Well, Henry, Stefan, you both went and had your health checked while we were at the ground. Was it a positive or a negative experience?
It was a very positive experience, because it made you consider things about your health, and also there was just a bit of a sense of everyone's getting involved in this. This is a good thing to do. So you had your blood pressure checked, your height and weight, BMI. There was even these electrodes you'd gripped, and it would measure your sort of body composition, that sort of thing. And yeah, I imagine blood pressure might have been a little bit higher at certain points than others, but it was a very positive experience. And I should also point out that that these machines that measure these things are also a load of pharmacies across Australia as well. So it's not just the opportunity to get it done at the MCG, but it was, we all had a go at it, and it was all really interesting, comparing scores and how old's your heart, what's your official heart age according to the machine. And look, if nothing else, it's a reminder of a wonderful cricketer and a wonderful life cut short. And if his legacy, or part of his legacy, is ensuring that people get this opportunity to have a little bit of an MOT, then that can only be a really good thing.
Henry's right about blood pressure. I think I did mine at the end of the first day. After 20 wickets had fallen, I'd just been rushed down to the basement to be in a press conference. I don't think I was in a great state. The thing I'll take away from that test match is the hat tip at 350, and particularly on the second day, when it looked like England were going to win the game. And that corner of the Barmy Army seemed to grow, didn't it, across the day? So Bay 30, it wasn't just Bay 13 by the end of it. It stretched all along the bottom tier of one half of the ground, from maybe, I don't know, deep square leg to long on. Thousands and thousands of England fans tipping their hats.
Really moving.
It was lovely. And if you think of the last day of the 2005 Ashes at the Oval, Shane Warne, the England fans singing to him, "We wish you were English," and he bowed to them. As a sign of mutual respect from the last time that he played Test cricket in England, and now the Barmy fans tipping their hats at the G, the ground where Warney made such magical moments. And you can't go anywhere around the MCG without seeing Shane Warne. I think that might be, at the end of this series, the image to me that lives longest in the memory.